Today in class we talked about different types of measures, and we went over some different facts about measurement. First of all, measurement is how we find sizes or quantities or amounts of things. We talked about that there's linear measurement that measures the length of things. We talked about that there's liquid measurement, which allows us to measure the amount of liquid like in a cup or a pint or a quart. We also talked about weight type of measurement, where we'd use a scale to measure how much something weighs. Secondly, we talked about measurement is never exact. There's precision involved depending on what type of tool we use, but it's never exact. Thirdly, we talked about using the appropriate tools for measurement. If we were measuring distance, like from the school to a town, we wouldn't want to use a yardstick or a ruler. That would be too small. We'd need to use the odometer on our car to measure in miles. And then lastly, we talked about making our measurements more precise, and that the best way to do that is to use the smaller unit of measure if we want to be exact or more precise. Going along with that, we had some examples. Let me get up here so I have my pen to use. Okay, we compared a meter and a decimeter. A decimeter is a little smaller, so it would be a more exact type of measurement. Secondly, we talked about an inch and a centimeter. Of those two, which one's a little smaller? We looked at how big they each were. A centimeter is a little bit smaller, so again, a centimeter would be a more exact measurement. And lastly, we talked about a yard and a foot. There's 3 feet in a yard, so the foot is the smaller one, so the foot would obviously be the more exact measurement to use. We went on and talked some more about the tools that we used, and we looked at different things in the room and talked about what tools we could use to measure them. The width of a door, there were lots of suggestions about what could be used to measure a door. We could use a tape measure, that would be a good answer. We could use a yardstick, that would be a good answer. We could use a ruler, but that wouldn't be the best answer because we'd have to move that ruler over because the door is obviously wider than what a ruler would be. Secondly, we talked about if you were measuring your waist. If you're measuring your waist is round, so you'd want to use something that would go around you, like a tape measure. A ruler wouldn't be the best option. However, you could use a string and put a string around you, measure that way, and then put the string on a yardstick to measure the distance around you. And then lastly, we talked about cooking oil for a recipe. How would we measure cooking oil for a recipe? For a recipe, you'd probably want a teaspoon or a tablespoon or a measuring cup of some sort, something to pour a liquid into to measure it.